Hello everyone. Here on Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m. EST, and we're gonna be coming in with a pretty solid game today. Kunoichi versus Plus One Beta, and then match of the week afterwards, NWA versus Nia. And with me here for these two games is none other than the one, the only, Majin Joker.
Yes, sir.
Hello. And coming into this game, right, we have two teams who one of them was victim to a very unfortunate 2-3 loss against NWA, 2-3 loss against Hime B, and the other also a game 5 loser, Kunoichi versus NWA. So both these teams are really looking to rebound from two pretty hard losses and try to convert, what they did last game and actually turn it into a win. On Kunoichi's side, I mean, they're running the same people that they ran last week. I believe Jerix is filling in, but I don't quite remember. But in regards to Nagito and Edzi, the duo that ran the last week, they were pretty solid in their performance. They really did well in tandem, running Soundhammer plus Katana. They did really well. On the other side of things, I mean, Majin, you probably watched the Plus One Beta's game last week. You think they got anything new?
For sure. I already know Plus One. We've had a long history of battles together since season 1. And these are very familiar faces that I've went up against a lot with Silk. I believe he uses either Corn or Drill. Let's see, who else is on the team? Roly, like Ayo Riley. I've seen him. I think he's going Caliber. That man, his Caliber is something lethal. You guys got to be very careful, because that man, he'll be all over the map, and you're like, how did he get here when he was over here? Using the Caliber jump trick. You're able to cross the map very smoothly, cost you no energy at all. Scarfy. That man right there. Another problem, but definitely, like I said, it's a stacked team, so the other team's gonna have to bring their A game, but the other team as well, they're not strangers to the Ninjala game here. I don't know too much information on them, but I have run into them a couple of times, and believe me, I don't take any fight lightly. When you're going up against teams like this, you got to just, come with the synergy and the energy, and it's whatever team capitalizes first and gets a lead, they can just hold the game off until then. So we want to make sure that both teams are giving their A game. They're not letting any chance slip, and they're coordinating just to make sure they keep a rotation going, because at any moment that the momentum shifts, it's game over for the other team.
And that's the thing that you brought up a good point, right? Getting the lead and holding the lead. And I mean, yesterday, WNX did a really good job being able to get a lead and hold the lead. But both these teams, they've dropped pretty sizable leads due to mid-late game mistakes and good plays from their opposition. So I mean, this series, both teams are gonna be looking to kind of tighten up that late game and hold on to the lead that they really should have, and try to finish the game with the lead and take the win.
Also, late game is very important too. With these teams, I know some teams, they might switch it around sometimes. Maybe they let them stack on the drones at the beginning, collect big weapon, and get a little head start while they're focusing Ippon. And once they're guaranteed having Ippon master at the start of the game, then the big drones at the end can just be a complete turnaround point difference. Because maybe it wasn't their focus at the start of the game, and then the game just switches up later on. But as we can see here, there's a lot of engagement already in the middle of the ring. Looks like the whole team is gathered in the middle. We have a Mellow actually here, turning into Poop. There's multiple trick balls on the teams here, so you're gonna see a lot of morph changes being used in this gameplay when they do have a sound hammer. So
this is a relatively balanced start, relatively even start with a slight lead for Plus One Beta due to a pretty decent early game. But of course, Kunoichi is always the scrappy team, managing to fight it out. And really good conversion by Nagito with the sound hammer.
Ooh, Ippon right here on Comet. This is something new I've seen with Comment. I'm used to seeing Comment with the Shinobi spinner or a Ninja Yo-Yo to see him pick up Trick Ball. That's different for me, so that's something I wasn't expecting. And Riley here with the caliber as expected.
Nagito again. Parry cancel with the Noise Hammer sound bullet. Another Ippon from Nagito.
Sound Hammer Season 3 has become a new meta. The way that they've buffed it and nerfed some of the other weapons is definitely giving it a good run in Season 3 to be an effective weapon to use.
Jerix with the double bag, shutting down the punishing blade and stopping Scarfy's aggression. That's a really good
definitely one of those momentum shift moments that I was stating earlier in the game. So now they have waiting on respawn for drones in the middle. The other team's gonna have to, you know, find some way to come back.
Yep, and Silk still rocking with the hammer after what happened last game. I mean, good punishment.
Oh, there's a gunbind in a team stack there. That's gonna be an Ippon. Yes, sir.
But you know, as a you have a DC. Derek, wake up. Your team needs you.
Uh-oh.
There might be a little bit of a problem here, but I'm sure it'll resolve itself at some point. If a DC does happen,
sometimes it's not even a DC. Maybe he's just waiting it out, trying not to get Ippon.
I mean, look,
all
I'm saying is that Jarex isn't even needed. It wasn't even needed at this point. I mean,
but yeah, the game is pretty much head to head. The big drones are starting to come out now, so this is where the momentum shift starts to take place. We've been seeing Ippons going back and forth, but now it's really time to focus on those big drones to get the difference. Ippons, there you go.
Yeah,
15,
this is
17 trading back and forth.
Yep, and this is where the game you really need to tighten up your gameplay, because if you mess up here, then it spells disaster.
Ippons are going left and right every time you switch camera. There's an Ippon happening, and this is what makes the game very dangerous. The fact that that nuke is gonna do some major damage.
Yeah, but you know, that's the thing about this game, right? Like, constant action means that if you slip up one time, then you could lose a lot more than you think you would. And, I mean,
okay, see, the opposite team right now are stacking up on the big drones. They know now's the time to be moving together, but it can also be a negative thing if anybody has a Tenchi Muyo waiting for the teams to stack up.
Speaking of ninjutsu, Rolu, last punishing blade, trying to get some value out of it, but I mean, we'll see what happens. Scarfy got their last punishing blade shut down by Edzy, and Edzy says, Rolu, no, you're not getting another punishing blade. And
preventing him from moving, that is exactly the use of the trick ball for that support, so you're able to, you know, not even to focus on the team, other teams, just basically to hold them and waste them some time by morphing them, by, you know, keeping them in a loop in a way. All you need to do is really keep your guard up for enemy teams that are, you know, pushing drones and getting an Ippon advantage. You might need to slow down their top score on the team. And so they let Silk move around freely to 12 stack.
And similar to what happened in Game 1 against NWA on WNA Academy, stacking Ippon Master to come away with the win, Kunoichi takes Game 1 in, I don't want to say a surprising fashion, but they really +1 again, having issues closing out games. I mean, Majin, you saw they had a pretty decent lead. Nice, like a. But
it's like I said, they're all pushing Ippons at the beginning of the game. So like I said, at the end of the game, the more control needs to happen. The teams are going to need to separate, play separate, really focus on owning their own skills while fighting separately. Because once they're stacked up as they were, they're able to get that Tenchi Muyo, catching them up to Ippon Master when they've already had a drone advantage towards the beginning. It's definitely a momentum shift mid-game that's going to put you in a game where it's going to be coming down to bonuses in the end.
We're going to see... There might be some... Oh, we're going to see where they go, where +1 beta decide to go next. We might be switching room hosts, potentially, but we will see. But I mean, if you're +1 beta, I don't think. I mean, similarly to NWA Game 1, you know, losing to double Ippon Master, I don't think you have to feel like, you know, that game was like completely out of reach. I don't think you need to feel like, hey, you know, we really just got absolutely rolled that game, because it was just a matter of, right, again, losing the last, you know, minute, the last 30
But you
seconds.
see, this is another thing I've witnessed throughout the game. Also with is it Konichi? Kunoichi.
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 Yes.
With Kunoichi, they basically focused trick balls and sound hammer, not really to fight as much, but to slow down the other team. Because there was a lot of times where we seen people were morphed or stuck in the sound hammer wave, and they weren't unable to move. And while they were trapped, the drones were being collected while still finishing with an ippon by their team members, which is a good strategy, because you might not be the best fighter, you might not be the best runner, but if you're good enough at slowing down the other team, you can still end up with the lead at the end with bonuses, which is where I see plus one beta is struggling a little bit as far as trading ippons.
Absolutely. So plus one beta decides we're gonna go to our standard counter pick, Croissant Arena.
Croissant Arena.
And again, I mean, my opinion on this map, I just think this map just exists. It's like teams have flocked to this map like, you know, teams play on WNA. It's become a relative favorite amongst most of the teams in the ENLs. So it's like if you don't practice on Croissant Arena, then you're putting yourself at a serious disadvantage, because most teams will take you there.
And I've seen a lot of teams, Neo included, basically starting off with the new stages, or basically homing, or you know how you select the map as a preferred map towards the game, using Croissant Arena so that they can start formulating game plans and strategies on a map that's as big as Croissant Arena. Because a lot of people, they dislike getting third party. They don't want something too small like Shinobi City, where a thing like a nuke can take up a good 10% of the map, and it be game just because there's always constant engagement. Croissant Arena gives a lot of space, a lot of time, and if you do formulate a good strategy and plan around the map, you guys will be able to, you know, take the game with ease, possibly not even run into an enemy team, winning from drones alone.
So this map, I mean, Kunoichi's going to be running the same strategy. Sushi, Soundhammer. Edzi though switches from Ippon Katana to Scroll Blade, something that I mean, I think
I can see Scroll Blade being useful here towards end game as far as the big drone spawning. They'll be able to, you know, capitalize with that. So, you know, the enemy team is definitely going to have to keep an eye on him, making sure they're either able to stop it or just keep an eye on him throughout the game. But this is going to be a very interesting matchup. We should.
The more I think about it, though, the more I don't like this counter pick by plus one beta, because they've showed that they cannot. They've shown that they have a hard time actually closing out games and closing out wins and turning leads into wins. And this map has one of the more volatile end games, similar to Eagle City, where you can actually just recover. We've seen 7K comebacks on this map due to how this map works. So, I mean, if I'm plus one beta, I don't know. I'm a little scared here.
I've also seen this map is very good for drones as well. So drones, I do think, needs to be a focus on this map specifically, because out of all of the maps, this has the most spawn drones within a short period of time. So there's plenty of time for drones to be stacked while engaging in fights. But necessarily, you don't have to focus on fighting during this rotation, due to the fact that there's so many drones, mini drones, mid-level drones that are on top of the space, and then the field drones that are towards the bottom. There's plenty of drones for any team to get, and ippons in the traveling distance that you would have to make between drone to drone is also what a lot of people, if you start heading towards the drone's already taken, that it could cost a lot of time. And you want to think, if you want to formulate a plan so that you and your teammate aren't pushing a drone that's already been taken.
And Edzi just shut down Common and Scarfy's plan. Scarfy leaves Common to die. Edzi with a good kunai conversion. And this is an extremely quiet early game from plus one. Down 3K early, not where you want to be at all in this game.
Again, I see it as an issue with the team stacking up here, because even if they do win the fight, they're only going to be able to capitalize on one drone, where their team has the advantage due to being spread throughout the map in other areas, all being able to fill up the drone, which is why for this map, I honestly think drones need to be a focus. as much as you're an Ippon master, as much as you don't like to say farm drone, it's definitely preferred. And if you're trying to take the game, at least early game at that.
Good dog myself. And
So early bag here. So.
Comet takes out Edzy. Right in their spawn, right in Kunoichi's spawn. Rolu takes out takes out White Shotty on errant back attack. White attack from Surfboard. And +1 still behind.
The lead is still growing. There is I'm seeing double time here. Between kind of drones and actually getting Ippon. Ooh, that's gonna be bad.
Polymorph still punishing blade. Good play by Jarex and good Nagita for the conversion. Dies to the parting into semi, however, so it becomes a relatively even trade, 1-for-1. And now we're hitting end game, and this is where Piercing Mixer really gets his value. Good interrupt by Scarfy. We'll see if Scarfy can convert. Edzy, so disagrees.
Needs to finish. He needs to finish. If he can't finish, you need to keep it moving.
Now aggressing on the Silk. Silk's in trouble. Silk's down. Stealing Hyena. Coming in really effective. And Edzy dodges the nuke. And Scarfy right from spawn. Scarfy wants revenge. I can't even... What's happening?
Camera angle. Somebody's being punished. Nope. It's
I guess it's Scarfy being punished. We'll see. Scarfy. No. Scarfy. Hey, Scarfy. Come on. You got to dash out of parries. Again, losing another parry. Situation against.
By the way, I actually honestly think the Scrobe is a very good tool to be using here as far as using the mixer, and also the kunai, being able to use it in place and being mobile to move away, or just to follow up on an enemy attack to either interrupt or to pierce any type of parry barriers. It's actually an effective tool to be using on the Croissant Arena.
Yeah, the more I think about it, like the more I'm really liking Scroll Blade on this map. Speaking of Blade, Punishing Blade from Scarfy, probably just gonna be used to get this drone. But I mean, at this point, look at the
lead is too far.
Nah, you're not coming back from that.
This looks like it's gonna be taken to game 2.
And with double Drone Master as well, or almost double Drone Master if Comet didn't get 14.
Drone and Ippon.
We'll see. But
this team looks like they have the synergy of all of them working together. It looks like they've already dedicated their dedicated Ippon master, their dedicated drone master, so they're helping out each other, playing the support roles, with 2 of them focusing, one as an Ippon master, either being assisted through gum shots and leading them for the teammate to finish, or focusing drones and then letting their dedicated drone master to finish. The team does seem to have a lot of synergy going, and definitely are communicating well, because they're all moving around the map, and by the time +1 beta team gets there, they're either all in an engagement or they're waiting on a drone to respawn, which is basically leaving them at a disadvantage.
Indeed. So we're getting we'll see where Kunoichi wants, or we'll see where +1 beta wants to go next. Down in a 2-0 hole. And I believe we're getting a host change.
Like a kit setup, or yeah, you said it's a...
Yeah, we're gonna get a host change this map. Yeah, +1 beta, a little too much lag for their tastes. It's obvious.
That is another issue with Croissant Arena. There is definitely some frame rate drops due to picking Croissant Arena with so much going on.
Frame rate drops plus cross-regional ping.
Not the best side, but I'm gonna just call them KN, because I feel like I'm gonna have difficulty butchering this name. So Team KN definitely getting a win here, looking very dominant in the first game today.
Yep. And so as we get into this new room, I'm gonna get into a new room for this match, hosted by Rolly this time, so on the NA side. And while that's happening, we are going to just gonna be chilling. So down in a 2-0 hole, Majin, what's your mindset, right? Because I mean, it's not very often that Neo's crew is down, 0-2. So I mean, and if you've ever been in that situation, like, what's your mindset? You trying to bring this game back from the depths?
Basically, the mindset that me, as far as the player, as far as Neo, if I see certain things happening mid game, like a bunch of team holding, it's a bunch of Ipons being traded compared to being able to escape you. I think there needs to be more of a focus of different weapon potentials happening. As far as Trick Ball basically morphing their hammers and keeping them in a lock or in a loop. Caliber needs to be more. I feel like Caliber needs to be more of a support weapon from Relu, because right now teammates need help. They're all playing individually, playing very well individually as well, but to trade every time, it's not giving you that advantage or that peak to get away. So they definitely need to find out what they need to do as far as either two stacking with each other, moving in a team or formation, or even locking down a zone, making sure you finish a drone at a certain time, knowing that the other one will be up by the time you're traveling there and getting back and forth. So in a way, they need to have a set goal for each member of the team of who's going to be playing support and who's trying to play Ipon, because right now they're all basically fairly even in points. So it's basically giving the advantage to the other team because one person is stacking compared to each member having, let's say, 4, 5, 6 drones instead of one person on the opposite team having 14 solely.
Like, I've like, just like the NWA game, like you have two options when you're against a team like Kunoichi, right? You can either try and match them in the 2v2, so you can either match them, because Nagito will never be truly by themselves. It'll either be Nagito and Edzi, Nagito and Jerix, always together. So you can either try to match them in the 2v2, which is what NWA did a handful of their games. They had Chillin' Kimmy rocking 2s for most of the time when they were fighting mid, and kind of tried to nullify that team play potential that Kunoichi had. But Plus One Beta is kind of stuck playing individual games, kind of stuck playing individuals, and they're not really playing as clean team play as they could play. I mean, Silk is under immense pressure every time because, Kunoichi's not giving him room to breathe properly, and Scarfy and Rolu have had relatively quiet games as well. So not the production value that you want, especially when you're running double punishing blade and you're lacking the self-sustain that a weapon like Katana can bring. Because you have Tornado to get out of jail free, and you're not reliant on not getting not having your ninjutsu get interrupted. So
that's another thing too. Some of the supers that were being used were basically being canceled out by the other team. They are watching and waiting. They have that communication to that they're not using it unless they know the enemy team has used it already and they're clear. They start early, going around the map, getting their big weapons, getting started off with everything, battling, pushing, and not even pushing to win Ipons, but to trade. They make sure they're either they get in, they're able to continue with the drone, or they're gonna get the drone or get the Ipon and then make sure that they're holding their supers for a crucial moment when multiple enemy teams start using their super. So they're effectively using it in a rotation to where, like, I'm not popping a super when you're popping a super, and then they minimize how many Ipons they're getting or how many drones they're using for their super. So you can actually see in their gameplay that they're using strong communication to call out things around the map, what the enemies are doing, and to be able to get whatever super they need right there as it's being used to finish it off.
Yep. And right now the new room is almost set. Waiting on Edzi to enter. The connection counter pick, as Black put it, might be the difference maker coming into a must-win game for Plus One Beta. This would be semi-disastrous if they lose 0-3 here. Puts them in a really bad spot in the division.
So, Chad, what do you guys think is going to happen in this next set? Do you think that KN is going to take it home with the third game, or do you think you would see a 3-0 reverse comeback from Plus One B?
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Me personally, I think I believe in a comeback. I believe in a reverse 3-0.
I think Plus One B can take a game. I don't know if it would be a 3 comeback, only because they've had a strong start. They had a strong, you know, momentum towards the start of the game. So I feel like they're very confident. Right? They're high in spirit. They're playing very relaxed. Like the pressure is on +1 at this time because they need to focus. They need to make sure that every move is right, because if they give them any type of advantage, it might be a wipe. But I know for sure that they can make a comeback. They're starting to learn counter plays. They lost twice already, so they know how they move. They know who their power player is on the opposite team, so they know who they should at least start to focus on to see if we can get this game taken. Yeah. But with the counter play comes another counter play, so you just got to be able to adapt and make moves as soon as the game starts and find out what you're gonna do. So let's see how this next game ends up.
This is looking like, I mean, we're going to WNA Academy, which, I mean, I say time and time again, if you watch any of the games that I cast, WNA is not a counter pick. It's strictly a heat check. It's saying when you take a team to WNA, you're basically saying, we are going to play better than you.
Exactly.
And we're going to beat you to the ground. And with +1 beta coming off of 2 kind of tough losses, I mean, they really have to dig in deep in order to, you know, play this map better than Kunoichi, because it's clear when Kunoichi comes in to WNA, they have a clean game plan that they follow every time. So we'll have to see what adjustments +1 beta will make.
I'm really hyped to see what they come with in this third game. It looks like they had a little breathing time, probably a little bit more time to discuss to figure out what they're going to do. So we're going to see if they come with the energy this game. I see most of the weapons have stayed the same, so everybody's comfortable with their base weapon, but now we want to see if they're able to capitalize with it.
So they're doing their standard start, sending Nagito and Edzi to the opponent's corner, leaving Jerix and Shotty to kind of just fight it out mid. Silk with a good play. He watched this film, reads and reacts, and they trade outers 1-for-1, hopefully.
Okay, so see, I think some of the advice that I might have given is starting to take effect here, because it looks like the teammates are playing separately, only assisting when needed. They were able to get the 3 drone start in the mid at the beginning, 1 push out, 2 or 3 stay in, and they've been able to collect most of the drones at the start of the game, giving them a nice little lead. But we got to see if they're able to finish now.
Good interrupt by Edzi. Nagito, it's Nagito and Edzi that are playing so well together, but Scarfy says nope, try it again later.
Scarfy has a strategy this time. He's using the drill in order to burrow underground to avoid those team attacks. There's a lot of sound hammers coming at him, shocking him, keeping him in place, and in order to refresh and, you know, just to recuperate, give yourself a little bit of time before going into the next engagement. I feel like the drill was a better weapon setup to switch to. Also, still keeping the punishing blade at the start of the game.
Good rocket by Comet gets Nagito down, which is really big. Giving +1 beta team some space to work with. But this is a pretty similar start to last game. You know, relatively even game. You know, +1 beta with early lead, and again, it just comes down to like late game, right? And starting you to semi, getting value.
Where do we look like for Ippons right now? Do we see who's currently in the lead with Ippons?
Comet with 2. Comet with 2. Rolu Scarfy with 1, and I believe that was Edzi with 1.
Opposite team not too far behind. The game is actually catching up now, so they need to keep that momentum going. Drones are spawning. Middle is clear. There's a lot of fighting and team stacking in one area.
Get in the bag.
Oh, exactly. Team stack. When the team stacks, then Tenchi Muyo is always very close behind.
Very good weapon looking. So, normally, I've been liking the sushi more, but switching to the state hammer really gets a lot more value this game due to, again, how you can see
KO.
Gets the polymorph there. Probably wasn't expecting, so couldn't actually convert.
Big Drunk has spawned. I think now he needs to change his attention from chasing. Oh, never mind. Can't help. But when Big Drone spawned, team attention it just changed. Like everything you're doing just needs to stop and focus Big Drones, because that is going to give you the maximum amount of points.
Scarfy gets 2 with Punishing Blade before they get polymorphed, but I mean, getting 2 with Punishing Blade is more than enough.
Definitely. Only 60 seconds left here in this first matchup. Looks like +1 B has a little comfortable lead. They just need to finish these big drones out in order to take the game. A nice nuke there. basically securing the area for the enemy's inner.
They need to hold that now. They need to make sure, like, 'cause this is still far from over. The next drone spawn rotation is super important.
Definitely, it could be the game changer where then it will be left down to bonus, or even if they can take 1/3 of the rotation, then they'll be able to finish the game off with a secure win. They're up currently by about, what, 4,000? I think they have a comfortable lead right now. They just need to hold that momentum, make sure they don't get any more ip-ons or take any more ip-ons that's unnecessarily needed. Just need to kind of move around the map, make sure you're not stacked up in order to close out the game. Now leading by a good 7,000 with the drone rotation, final drone rotation being taken by +1 beta. Looks like they're coming out this game. 13 drones taking Ipon and a Drone Master. Better team coordination together. And like I said, I predicted it at the beginning, I think +1 had a little bit more in them. They could take the game home. They just needed to, they just need to focus a little bit more on what each person is going to do. And it looks like that's exactly what they did.
And now they're feeling a little bit more confident.
Definitely more confident. Showing a dominant comeback in that third game, set 3.
They're nodding their head like, yeah, I know, we got it. So again, next game, game 4. If Kunoichi end up losing game 4, I mean, their mental is pretty strong, considering how consistent they played in the game 5 series versus NWA. So I don't think this game 4 is as crucial compared to some other teams who are a little bit more malleable when it comes to their mental coming into these.
We've also seen this happen a lot in the past, where the teams get a 2-0 lead, they start relaxing, feeling very confident, and then games just slip away because they think they had the comfortable lead. What was working for them before is going to work now. They don't change the rotations, and you don't sleep on +1 because they adapt very quickly. Once they lost to you once, they know how you move. Once you lose twice to them, now they just figured you out. You have to change it game 3, or else they're gonna take it. They're gonna take it, guaranteed.
And now we're running it back to Croissant Arena, which
going back to Croissant Arena game.
We should 4? Be going back to Croissant, which I don't know.
All right, so. Same rules apply. They need to definitely keep the team synergy going. Try not to stack as much as possible, because you already know enemy team's been coming with Tenchi Muyo clutching out Ipons early in the game. If they continue to let that happen, it might be trouble throughout the game. But
I think Nagito and Edzi are still gonna play duos. They're just gonna be a little bit farther apart than.
The thing with them playing duo, it's actually in their favor to do so, because they have super armor, so they're never gonna be pushed together to where they're in trouble, or they have Tenchi Muyo for the easy escape. So when things stack on them, it's in their favor for them to be stacked, running as a hammer or as a Tenchi Muyo player. It's also with a morpher. If teams are morphed, then you're rendered helpless.
It's easy to hit a target that can't.
Exactly. They can't parry, can't block. So being in Croissant Arena, like I said, there's more drones than Ipons available here. So the team needs to move. They need to keep moving. And anytime you're engaging, just engage for a short amount of time and keep it moving.
Yeah, and they'll try to copy the same strategy, or not copy, but follow the same strategy that their sibling team ran, +1 Alpha, and they're very proficient at on this map. They'll have Comet, Trick Ball patrolling the top half of the map, while the rest of the team kind of fights a 3v4 on the bottom. But they're betting on the 3 members of their team outperforming the 4. But that's a relative problem when the enemy team is doing nothing but running in pairs. It puts you at a little bit of disadvantage, even though that strategy should be relevant some way or another. So we'll see. I'm assuming none of these teams' game plans are going to change. Crucial game 4, must win for +1 beta.
All right, game 4. Let's go. So starting off, it looks like teams are moving
relatively
separately.
Aggressive start for Kunoichi. Want to fight right out the gate.
It looks like all of them are separating, trying to focus the drone. It looks like Ryu and Silk stacking up at the bottom field to get the quick Ipon in drone control early in the game.
But Soundhammer quickly Quickly takes the drone, sets up the field, takes the drone. Jarex comes in, says get up off my boy, and they're out of there.
Yep, Silk sees that they're being stacked. He's going to capitalize on the drone here. He takes it right out of there. Exactly what he needs to be doing as a hammer player.
Absolutely.
Stop engaging, focus more on the drone. Keep it moving. That takes games. Weapon break when needed, and only fight when being pushed.
Really easy to even start Edzy. A little bit of trouble, but why shotty when you play hammer, you know, if your teammate makes a mistake, you just gotta get out of there. Edzy is alive somehow, some way.
They're still capitalizing on points right now as far as drones. I believe they're being targeted as far as which drone is going to spawn. They're trying to beat them in the rotation. They're not able to just make a complete circle. It looks like they're cutting diagonally in order to beat them to their next objective, taking points.
How did Why Shotty live there? Lived for so long when they really should have just died. Good bag by Silk. But, Why Shotty literally ran through 4 members of +1 beta and got out alive. And that only gave room for the rest of Kunoichi to continue expanding the lead. It's 4K right now. This game could only go worse for +1. I mean, this mid game is not going well right now. Edgy misses common, I'll pass to the map. Edgy misses charging slap.
Their team is definitely very coordinated at this map. You don't see any of their teammates stacked together unless it's something where they're going into an engagement with 2 or more enemies there. Then it's just a pop in, pop out, just pop in and either morph you and get out of there, head towards the next drone. There's a lot of things going on between the teams all together.
Absolutely. Good read by Scarfy. And look, they brought this lead back, but you know the lead is still growing on the Converse. They brought it close to 2K, now it's back to 4K, and the late game coming in, we'll see. +1 has a lot of ground that they have to make up, but I believe they actually have the ability to do it. So Silk whiffs, oh that's really bad. Whiffs bag, and I don't think with the amount of pressure that Kunoichi is putting on Silk, he might not get another bag this game, which means that this might be the end of the line. You know,
the big drones can still give them a comeback if they are able to capitalize and focus it right now. It looks like he's going for the Ippons though as well. So the team, that parting its semi is gonna stall too much time.
But the thing, actually, you might be right. Scarfy punishing, but coming in, getting the big drone, getting 2 Ippons. Scarfy trying to make.
They're only down by 2,000. Any bonus right now can catch them up. Just collect a few more drones in these last 40 seconds.
2 bags in a row. This is
the game might come back. They're down. They're tied now. +1. A vast move in order to capitalize on the win. Trying to finish this Ippon right here.
Yeah. The parting roots is semi comes in clutch, but I mean this piercing mixer by Edzy might be the thing that allows Kunoichi to win the series.
Ooh, yes.
We'll have to see. 5 seconds left. 2K lead. I mean, let's look at bonus.
2K lead. One more Tenchi Muyo. It looks like it needs to come out.
So Pan has Drone Master, but Scarfy has Ippon Master.
Ooh.
Score is looking close, but I think Kunoichi sealed this one out. Really close.
We'll see. Ippon Master, a lot of points.
Final drum. Anyone home?
The game goes to
Kunoichi.
Oh, Kunoichi with the game. Closing out with a very close game.
A really solid performance from Kunoichi. They never really strayed away from the game plan that they set out for themselves. Executed properly, and even though there were relative issues when it came to some cross region ping, regardless they still managed to play well because those things go both ways. So I mean, really good by Kunoichi to close out this series when they very easily could have had a lot more trouble.
Definitely. So +1B definitely knows the map they need to start practicing on.
Yeah.
Because they have the team coordination, the Ippons and the drones. It's just that they need to focus more at the beginning or more towards the end in order to close out these games. But the game was very close. They started making vast movements towards the end of the game, but it's because of the points difference towards the beginning that gave them the advantage.
Yeah, and the other thing too, like a +1 beta again needs to close games. Like they really need to close games. I mean, they should
Towards the end, they were doing it. They were closing out pretty fine because they had a 4K difference advantage before Big Drone started joining at about 60 seconds. And when it got down to 40 seconds, you just seen the 4K disappear. They were going head to head with them, which led it down to Big Drones, which I believe the mixer from the opposite team took it and gave them another gap. Unable to stop it, unable to prevent the drones from being used, and then it's what gave them the advantage, leading them to the closing out the game there.
I mean, I'm more speaking of that game one that, like, again, they lost by bonuses, but they had a relatively decent lead throughout the game. It's just a echo of their previous series against Hime's team. Like, being able to hold the lead for this team has been something that they need to work on the most, because they're able to get these leads early, get these leads mid, but for some reason when it gets to late game, whether it be not enough, they get out team played, they get out mechanicked, they got out rotated, or something happens in each of these games that they just manage to have that lead slip away one at a time. Instead of staying strong and closing out. And again, like I'll always be mentioning the series yesterday, like of course people can make the argument that these teams might be at a different level of skill, but the fact of the matter is, when you know how to close out a game, you know how to close out a game. It doesn't matter who you're playing against or who you're playing as. And I mean, that's something that +1 really needs to work on. +1 beta really needs to work on coming into next week's match.
Definitely. I also saw, like, in game 3, that is when I see the most coordination on their team.
Yes.
They definitely had their dedicated Ippon master. They had somebody that was focusing drones, and the other two on the team were strictly playing support. They weren't playing support where they're all stacked up together, but they were making sure they helped out a little bit and then made sure to push the enemy team to slow them down. Not really so much following around, but they were definitely coordinating in a better rotation than they did the previously 2 games. But it was definitely a match that was worth watching. It looked like they were giving them a hard time. They kept the lead, and once they had it, they made sure to hold it.
Absolutely.
Which is what I think what I was saying, as holding the momentum at the start of the game is what's going to keep the energy flowing on the team, to just make sure you have a comfortable ending.
Yeah. And I mentioned +1 beta specifically, but this is something that needs to happen, that a handful of teams need to work on outside of just +1 beta closing out games. This has been an issue. I mean, last Saturday there were so many games that just one team's coming in with like a massive 5K 6K lead, and I don't know, they just managed to lose it some way or another through as I mentioned, either they get out mechanicked, out rotated, or out team played, and just have to recover, keep playing these games, and it's a hard thing to practice, especially, right? Because you don't get into these late game situations where the games are close, and when you're scrimming or practicing with teams, it's not something that you really think about in game, practicing late game scenarios. So it's just something that comes with continuing to play and continuing to practice and continuing to make sure that you're making these good decisions.
Definitely.
So that being said, up next, match of the week, NWA versus Neo GS. Coming to you in a bit.
Squad, dab. Sorry, no favoritism here, but dab.
And we'll be back shortly. See you guys in